Hey guys, Luna here, and we're back with Hiveswap Friendsim. Now, last we left off, we started on with Volume 4 with a right and the wrong. We went with our teal-blooded loyal friend. Now we're going to go with Vikare Ratite, which is another bronze blood. It's probably best for you to stop trying to predict what's going to happen to you at this point. Everything that's happened so far on this planet has been kind of chaotic. In fact, you're ready for something more familiar. You get back to the site of your abandoned spaceship. Sure, it's smashed beyond repair, but it's a little slice of home. Maybe at least one or two pieces of it are fixable. You march off in what you think is the right direction. But when you get there, you're not alone. A little guy in a hat and big goggles is standing there, gazing at your spaceship, maybe assessing it. You watch, he breaks off a couple gears and stuffs them in his pockets. Hey! You clear your throat loudly. Good galloping gravy! Why, I've never seen the likes of you before. What a strange wonders the heavens have rained down upon us today. You quickly lose any indentation you were building up. He's smiling at you, and his words seem at least somewhat amicable. Maybe you've got it all wrong. Maybe this is the next person you're going to get chummy with. You cut right to the chase. No point in beating around the ground leaf covering. It's probably what they call it on this planet. You let this guy know that you're the proprietor of the spaceship he's shipping, and you're in mighty need of a new friend. A friend, eh? A blossoming companion, a pal about town. I've seen a Navy, Tomlinson, Dickinson, or Harry around these parts who might fit the bill. You're kind of trying to imply that this guy could be your friend. Is it too late to say that now? You try to imply it with your eyebrows. As for me, day-to-day matters here on Ontario interest me not. For I only care about the hurtling at the great speed to the boundless expanse of the cosmos. And that's alright, space. It is space flight that consumes my every waking thoughts and all my ardor. As in accordance with my duty as a future Ontarian crusader, of course. No oxygen and no wind, a total vacuum, that is a life for me, alright? Flying in space above the atmosphere, not within the realm of gravity's purview. Wouldn't have it any other way. Right, you get the feeling you're missing something. This guy seems really defensive about his interest in spaceflight. Like, maybe he's trying to say something totally different? Whatever it is, his internal conflict clearly takes precedence over your issues. It seems like a great candidate for a friend, despite the fact his voice sounds like it belongs over a newsreel of World War II. Hey, I got that right. That was exactly what I was thinking. I just have one query for you, Spots, if I may be so bold. Do you also like spaceflight? Do you yearn to see the moon shining above, the clouds whipping by you as you chase and tease the imperious western wind, and then also keep going past that up into space? Let's see. Tell him you love spaceflight. Well then, we are in total agreement. Two kindred souls traveling hand in hand into a glorious yet inevitable future on conscripted service in space. Which is, as I've already made clear, a thing I most definitely and positively desire. So it seems you have nothing more to discuss. Toodaloo. Oh, bye, I guess? Oh. Was not expecting that. Tell him you're not so sure about spaceflight. His eyes widen. You see them sparkle? Individual with a more sophisticated palate. A real connoisseur of buoyant arts you are. Someone like you could never be satisfied with an anemic affair of traveling through the inky blackness of the galaxies. I believe a jaunt to my hive is in order. Let's get a wiggle on. There's a lot going on there, but you understand that he wants you to follow him. The friendly guide takes you to a building where all the room seems to be balanced on spindly-looking silts. The hive soars above you and up into the sky. He gestures to a little platform attached to a pulley system, this little thing over here I'm guessing, like a rudimentary elevator. It brings you up into a small dark room. Ooh, that looks cool. This house is pretty much what you would have guessed. The walls are covered in star maps and pictures of spaceships. You notice that many of them have cheery slogans splashed across them saying things like, explore the galaxies, because you're required to fulfill your duty to society, and enlist, travel, make friends, don't get cold. Your new friend doesn't seem too happy as he looks around the place. Just the hive for a dedicated space enthusiast, isn't it? You nod. You're not sure what this is leading to, but no one ever went wrong with relying on non-specific and plausible deniable agreement. Am I fooling? You've rumbled me, potential new chum. What you see before you is a college of falsehoods, nothing but an aviator of baloney. In truth, the myriad temptations of desire of space do nothing to tickle my biscuits. The thought of participating in the glorious eternal conquest gives me the screaming menace. My interest lies in something a little more lower down. He reaches up and peels back one of the posters. Below it is another poster. This one is showing a view of clouds in the night sky. Behold my shame. The truth is, I long to turn and toss within the grasp of mistress's gravity's sweet fingers. To traverse the sky, can such a thing be? Imagine flying within the confines of Futuria's very atmosphere, defying the very conventions of what we all know to be true. Instead of down, up, instead of falling, soaring. Can you imagine? Can you see it before you? Could you ever dream of existence of such a flying machine? Let's save again. Tell him you never heard of such a thing. But the future is our own to build, my strange-hued and unhorned comrade. What do you think? Does my ideas rattle your buttons? Can't help but notice that he's referred to you as chum and comrade, but friend hasn't made an appearance yet. Do cinnamon count? Or is it just a tick of his speaking style? You look as earnest as you can and nod vigorously. You're almost positive this is the thing he really wants you to express interest in. Aha! The truth will out. You and I share this fervent passion of indulgences of the air. A dialogue between a troll and a flying machine and the stars. But further away from the stars than we will be in Spaceship. I cannot stress enough how different of a thing this is. I'm between nodding and shaking head here, so you furrow your brow, do your best to look thoughtful, like maybe you are contemplating the differences. The fellow demeanor toward you is definitely shading the more temperate climate zones. However, certain physical needs are starting to assert themselves. You're still banged up from the previous adventures, but right now the aching of your stomach is screaming for attention. You humbly ask your friend to be if there might be any chance of getting a bite to eat. Why, if I'd known you had a rumbling in the digestive bladder, I would have shut my yapper tooth sweet. That time for a good old moosh, a yummy rule, what ho! Now should we attain the victorials, we could venture into the great unknown, which is to say, out of my hive. Or we could stay here, beholden to whatever twists and turns Lady has in store for us in the nutrition block. What do you say, timer? Hey, 3 choices this time. Go outside and look for food. From your budding chum's words, it sounds like he himself isn't sure if there's any food in the house. Best to risk it and go outside, you tell him at your decision. Wait, buckaroo? Foraging is how I while away most of my time after all. There's just one small matter to trouble your brain power. For venturing into the unknown yonder, we should obtain some chow from Meliscus as well. He'll be a really grumbly Gustav if he goes too long without his notch. You draw yourself up proudly. It's taken a lot of bizarre run-ins and harrowing close shaves, but you all know about Luscus's. You inquire about Gustav, was it? Oh, what a card you are! No, my Luscus. I call him the Canary. He whips out a photo. He shows a smaller version of himself, his horns nothing but stubs, a far too big pair of aviator goggles slipping off his nose. Struggling behind him is a large white fowl, big straggling wings folded back behind his body. You want to say meow? Whatever it is. It's definitely not a canary. Its beak touches the top of your pet's head with something that might count as affection. He's not a snickery sort. All kinds of bugs and leaves will tickle his fancy. Shall we away? Shall we greet the horizon that rushes forward to meet us with astounding grace? Shall we give ourselves over to the current of time's great river? Sure, you tell him. You can leave the house. It's getting a lot easier to pay attention to only the words the guy says that actually make sense. You kind of enjoy his way of speaking, though, if nothing else. It gives you the feeling that he's really excited about the food quest you're going on together. Your alien pal leads you back down through the pulley system and outside again. The trip is not so easy on your bruised ribs. The thing about walking is when you walk, your body moves. You've had much better times, is what you're saying. You indicate as much to your companion. Oh boy, I hear ya. Moving while attached to your terraria surface is the worst kind of hooey. The movement when autonomous flight is invented and trembles even closer to the present. Can you hear it approach? The wail of distant collects on, the call to adventure. It beckons us forward through the years, a golden thread stretching ever onward to that glorious inevitability. It's not what he meant, but his excitement cheers you up a little. Maybe you'll feel better in the future when someone invents flight on this planet. Certainly, by the time either of you will be further along in healing or dead. Either way, thinking about that future brings a little rosy glow to your heart. You ask your buddy where you're going next. The world is our beloved sea critter. We'll go whenever the wind calls our names. Great. But if it's short-term answer you're inquiring after, there's a specific plant that canary likes to eat. It's got white petals and leaves as red as a troll's most lucrative desires. Could you give a holler if the bulbs all fall on something of that persuasion? You agreed to along beside him, wincing whenever your steps jolt out your injuries. Maybe a little conversation will help distract you. You're asking your friend where he's gotten so interested in flying in the first place. What could be better? Up there, free of worldly concerns. The wind in your face. Excuse me. The wind in your face and the horizon at your back. Seeing the continent spread out below you. Finally feeling that your personal aesthetic is appropriate for the given circumstance. You are over this war for a minute or two. It seems like you're really making this guy tick. Is the travel and adventures thing. Or maybe that's just what you're getting from his general demeanor and never to bring up anything that might make him dislike you, but in the interest of bonding, you forge ahead. Aren't there, you say with apprehension, maybe some similarities between flying and space travel? Like, maybe being in a spaceship could satisfy some of these urges? What? There may be some superficial similarities to trick common troll, but in essence, the blood pusher of soul of each, as different as night and day, as a mountain and a ditch, a star and a mud puddle. Don't get a fellow wrong, space travel's fine. Well, it is. It's the only way to satisfy our bloodthirsty and nearly immortal overlords. And I look forward to such a time when I can be of service. The eternal milestone, a grind of intellectual conquest, but it's missing the punch, the pizzazz, the kaboom, the trunk-of-beast honk of it all. Just as you feared, you stepped into now, struggling for a response, when out of the corner of your eye, you spot a cluster of white flowers. Relieved, you point them out to your companion, who races over to gather them. When he holds one up, you can see it has blue leaves, not red. Your shoulders droops. Seems like you're doing is disappointing your buddy, who has been so nice to you. At least that's what you think you've read between the lines of confusing speaking style. Fear not, my smooth-headed compatriots. These are not the lustrous rations we sought. but this plant is people shell. What it means to say is we can eat it. Since we are people, it's food for people, not made of people, to be clear. He comes back with a fistful of flowers and hands you one of the blue leaves. You're not all sure that the food is safe for your buddy. Not safe for your buddy will be safe for you as well, but at this point you don't have much to lose. Besides, your stomach is groaning. It might as well be perfectly seared steak put in your mouth. Chewing on the leaf, you feel more affectionate toward the guy than before. You were worried this trip was turning into an excuse for him to run some kind of household errand, but it really did find something to eat. That you are desperate to find some way to show him that you understand his interests. You want to connect to him on a deep soul level. Anything gets him to look at you with that treasure glow of friendship in his eyes. Whether he mentions space travel, he talks about how it's something he has to, some kind of necessary obligation. So maybe there's a reason he's fixed on an activity that's kind of similar, just a little different. Maybe he doesn't want to do the required thing, the space conquest, but he doesn't have to in him to rebel entirely all the way. Maybe airship flight or whatever similar thing he's envisioning is compromise between what he has to do and what he wants to do. A balance like all must find in order to live as an individual in a society that shapes one's desires from birth. You cautiously open your mouth. Heart pounding, you venture to ask your pal if he maybe would rather not satisfy the demands of the bloodthirsty overlords. If maybe a part of him wants to get into his flying machine and, leave for real. You seem taken aback. Maybe you should have never said it. What a huge mistake. You probably pushed his friendship out of reach for good now. Panicking, you point to the side, yelling that you see a big field of white flowers that direction. Your potential friend leaps to action, seemingly almost glad to be given a reason not to answer this question. He races forward in the direction you indicated. In a matter of seconds, there's a yelp and your new acquaintance vanishes. Instantly, you realize your error. You didn't look where you were pointing. While walking, you unwittingly came close to the edge of a large cliff, which your compatriot has now disappeared over. Race to the side, your stomach flooding with fear. This is absolutely the opposite of what you wanted. You look down in horror. Your friend now looks approximately how you felt when you first crash landed on this dark planet. His face frozen in shock, but one leg is twisted underneath him in a nasty way. You may not be familiar with an alien anomaly, but you're almost positive that they shouldn't look like that. You call out to him in duress. Sure, he's going to castigate you for your mistake. The strangeness of his language won't make it hurt unless you lose this guy's trust forever. Whoa! Kalio! His voice floats up in the gown below. Weak but somewhat jovial? Is it possible he's not angry? Oh, joy is happening. Oh, delight of body and spirit. Did your being absorb what occurred before your very visage? I flew, soared through the air, just for a moment, but it happened. An ecstasy like I've never known. You hesitate. Is it really possible that he could be taking this so well? That maybe you big fuck-up was a step in the right direction after all? It's definitely a little worrying to hear him celebrate a dangerous fall, but none of that matters if you can secure his friendship at last. My strange associate, come down here. We will celebrate in grand fashion this eve. How did you know that a brief sojourn through an unfettered air would bring me such joy? You're a fine fellow, and truly a superb friend. Her heart leaps with joy. He said it. Of course, now you have to find some way to climb down a cliff with your messed up ribs, but not to mention figuring out how to transport someone with a broken leg back to their house. You're not really sure if that's possible, or when the adrenaline that's got you this far will give out and force you to succumb to your own pain. But with a nightfall of difficulties ahead of you, you could ask for a better bond than knowing your fate, swimming hand in hand with your friends, assuming you didn't hurt his hand as well. No matter, you did it. Sort of. Slow to sew. I will tell him, this is back when we were talking about airplanes, tell him that airplanes exist. I brought you to show you my truth, and you treat me to mockery. An airplane? A plane that floats on air? Flying machines are serious business. I think you should leave. Game over. But airplanes do exist. stay inside the hive. You tell him any food he has in the house will be fine. Surely staying here will get you fed more quickly. Not a problem at all, my fine and fervent fellow. However, I believe two kindred souls such as ourselves have more ways of communicating than mere words alone. I am thinking I'm grasping the meaning behind your request. The signal from your transmitter is pinging my cranial orb receiver. I can see what you're truly after is food for the soul. You're definitely meant food for the body. You're looking for an opening where you might gently correct your new buddy, but he seems to be working himself up to say a lot more things. The delicate nutritions of what souls truly is being craved, the sustenance of thought, of imagination, of desire. That which nourishes the self better than the finest grub noodles. Art. Science. You must have angering to see my flying machine design sketches. Despite your troubles, you can't help but think his enthusiasm is kind of sweet. Not weakly. You make one less attempt indicating that food might strengthen you to fully appreciate his work. No need to worry. I am fully confident in your ability to take in my glorious blueprints. You have shown yourself to have quite the sturdy noggin and discerning lubabub. I would welcome your input. Warmth blooms in your stomach. It feels nice to hear your compliment from you. You're not sure what you actually have done to earn his praise, but you definitely don't want to ruin this now. Maybe seeing his designs will be fun, even on an empty stomach. Maybe it will really help you nourish you on a level that will help you forget about the prosthetic, earthly nourishment you thought you wanted. You tell him you're in. That's so fast. That is what I'm planning to reveal to you is what I keep closest to my torso pillar. It's not that I don't trust you, my footloose and horn-free cohort, but I think I would like to trust you a little bit more before sophisticating myself. I'm displaying my bleeding organs before your penetrating gaze, which is a metaphor for exposing my portfolio. Might I trouble you to participate in a small chess trial? No problem, tell him. The button is to make yourself comfortable while it gets a few supplies. After a few minutes, he returns to you with a fruit full of fabrics in different colors. Here's what's bouncing around the old brain box of mine, buddy-o. I'm going to tie this blindfold around your face. Then I'm going to give you some instructions. And you're going to try and locate the case where I keep my treasured sketches. If you can find it, it's gotta mean we trust each other deeply. Like two wings working in unison to achieve a liftoff. It's not. That's how wings work. I'm still figuring out the principle of the matter. What a romp! I'm up for it. It's too late to turn back now. And really, you don't want to. It's kind of a relief to have him tell you what you can do to earn his friendship in plain terms. Well, as plain as the sky's terms ever gets, you give him a thumbs up. Now we're all in this, shall we? He quickly ties the fabric around your face. Time is upon us. Time for the inaugural flight of our deepening bond. Time to nudge our fledgling companionship out of the nest and see what happens. Your new friend starts to direct you around the room. To the left? No, my left. Sorry, I meant your left. And now onwards to the glorious future that lies before us. You smile weakly, doing your best to follow his instructions. He sounds happy, so you must be getting somewhere. Almost to the doorway. 3 steps forward and you should be able to... Wait! Crap. You stagger backwards from the impact. You hear yourself wheeze. The shock has totally knocked your lungs out of commission. Your chest jerks in tiny contractions as you gasp for air. Oh, beans. Ding dang darn it! There's no pain, just an intense pressure focused on the center of your face. Right around where you ran into something face first. You pull up the blindfold and your footsteps, which probably means your new friend is rushing over to help. He gets a blindfold untied, and his face swims into your vision. He looks utterly gobsmacked. Well, I'll be a Hornsby's grub food. Everything's copiatic, me pal. You put your hand to your face and touch something wet. Sure enough, when you pull your fingers away, they're covered in blood. Nose isn't gushing or anything, just sending out a couple of rivets to let you know that it's having a bad day. It's not so bad. You tell your acquaintance this, but he doesn't look any less horrified. Shivering Shadow Kamui, All this time I've been testing you to see if I could have the tender gift of trust in your declawed little hands. And here, you bestowed upon me the greatest trust of all, knowledge of your non-standard, heterological attributes. I am truly honored and flabbergasted, pushed to the brink of rationality by such display of faith. Never mind the trust, child. You deserve to see my sketches. Just wait here. Be back in 2 shakes of a baby Baba Beast's hindquarters. You sit down on the floor again, wiping the blood off your face. You're not going to question the stroke of luck you've been shown. Why, if you knew bleeding was the key to his affection all along, you could have encouraged some blood from the sites here of your multiple injuries. But no matter. You sniffed the last of the blood back into your nostrils, tasting metal back at the back of your throat. You shouldn't sniff the blood, you should let it just come out. When you almost find returns, he drops a big stack of papers onto your lap and page through the designs. The first few are rudimentary, mostly variations on spaceships with little notes like, how do you make it not reach escape velocity, and less jet fuel, shaped like could be less aerodynamic. But you keep going. The designs get pretty interesting. One seems to rely on some big rotating sails to achieve lift. Another shows a light frame body attached to 4 jointed wings. You briefly wonder what he plans to make wings out of before you see the notes stating these are dragon wings. A follow-up scribble states, flapping mechanisms, how to software with the mortise. But hang on, you take a close look at the machine's frame. The guy's sketch is pretty detailed. The frame doesn't seem to be made of wood or aluminum as he expected, but smaller individual shapes latched together with some type of cord. Maybe it's just a macro aesthetic, but you think it looks like bones? You look back at the other designs. Now that you look at it, the sail in this one seems to have texture that might be leather or similar. The sketches themselves are picked out of the varieties of colors, not dissimilar from the brand new blood colors you've discovered lately. Oh boy, you've been down this creepy alien road before. Using your lightest, most jovial tone, you question the bone shapes. You softening words with a big, not freaked out smile. What's that? Well, I'm not a construction professional, though. Gotta make use of what's available. Only cold lowroads and grub, of course. An ounce of directional spirit in this fellow over here. You're not unhorned one. These are wacky cultural differences. You're just misunderstood. You take refuge in your old standby, nodding and smiling. None of your business of what body parts this fellow uses or doesn't use to make his right brother's transformation fan works. Friends aren't judging people's use of corpses as construction material anyway. You know, when you crash landed on my planet, I had no idea what to think. Vikare, old boy, you've really shot the balls now, that's what I told myself. Telling an alien about your flying dream? That's ruffled the kitty and no doubt about it. But now that we're here and are having a look at my sketches, I'm thinking it might be right for us to meet all along. Perhaps we can work of the conspiracy Madam Destiny. Surely, he's about to say that you're friends. You can almost taste the sweet friendship-affirming syllables coming from his mouth. You're just seconds away from the coveted F-word. Or are you? Maybe you misconstructed everything. You look down at the sketches. Bones in this one, bones in that one. He says these plans calls for the bones of aliens like him. At least, if you understood correctly. But they don't really look any different from, well, the bones you're more familiar with. Your own bones. Your bones, which have already gone through a lot today, and maybe seem to be in kind of harvestable condition, if one is so inclined. You clear your throat. Ah, you say, he's not, the market for these materials right now, is he? Like, right now? The friendly guy doesn't understand your question. You're not gonna push it, but you do risk a quick glance at yourself, and back at him, just to see if he's checking out the stuff, so to speak. When you look back at him, he looks aghast. Oops. Heavens biscuits, is that what you think of me? Oh, you think I'm the type to start taking people's body parts all higgly-piggly, as if there aren't plenty of thoughtless discarded rib cages to work with. Is that the type of chance you're looking for in these parts? I'm afraid I'm not the type of aggressive heartthrob you're after. We can't all be the macho bloodthirsty romantic hero type, ready to rip out our organ harvest tools at a moment's notice. I thought we could be friends, and now I see you're looking for something different. My apologies, I think. I think it's best you go elsewhere. No! You want to correct the misunderstanding, but you're not fully sure what the misunderstanding is. The guy doesn't seem to be any mood for a friendship right now. You're hanging your head. Looks like this was just a big waste of time. No! Misunderstood. Oh. Bye, friends. Well, that's the end of that. And you've made 2 new friends. Just sign here, making a new business partner. And Helio Kellier, you helped our reluctant spacefarers soar a little lower. And we have plenty more, so eventually we're going to befriend the day, night, week, month of your lives, and may the stars forever guide your path, forever it might lead you into the future.